She said I was the problem, until I found out what she was really doing behind closed doors. When I first met Sophia, I remember saying, "You look like someone who doesn't believe in love at first sight." She laughed. "And you look like someone who does." That laugh stayed in my head for days. I'd never met anyone like her, smart, confident, and unpredictable. I told Adam, my coworker, "Man, she's different. She makes even silence feel loud." "Sounds like trouble," he joked. "Be careful. The louder the silence, the deeper the hole." But I didn't listen. I fell fast, maybe too fast. We went from coffee dates to weekend getaways, and before I could catch my breath, I was on one knee, asking her to marry me. When she said yes, I thought, this is it. This is what peace feels like. The wedding was small but beautiful. I remember standing beside her, holding her hand, thinking, I'll never let this woman go. She looked at me and whispered, "Promise you'll never stop trying." "I'll never have to try," I told her. "Loving you will be easy." For a while, it was. We moved into a modest apartment with pale blue walls and sunlight that made everything glow. I used to wake up early just to watch her sleep. Her hair always fell across her face, and I'd tuck it back, whispering, "You're my forever." She'd smile half asleep and mumble, "Forever's a big word, Ethan." I didn't think much of it then. Months passed, and life settled into a rhythm. I'd come home from work, and she'd be scrolling through her phone, smiling at something I couldn't see. "Rough day?" she'd ask without looking up. "Just the usual deadlines," I'd say. "Missed you." She'd nod, still typing. "I'm just tired, Ethan. Can we talk later?" It became her favorite line. "I'm tired." At first, I believed her. Work stress, adjusting to marriage, it made sense. But soon, the distance between us grew. Nights turned into silence. Touch became awkward. I'd reach for her hand, and she'd pull it away gently. "Are you mad at me?" I'd ask. "No, just not in the mood." "Not even for a hug?" She'd sigh. "Ethan, please. Not tonight." Her tone wasn't harsh, but it carried something worse, indifference. One night, I tried to talk. "Sophia, did I do something wrong?" She didn't answer immediately. Then she said, "You didn't do anything. I just need space." Space? We live together, not on different planets. She smiled weakly. Maybe that's the problem. Those words echoed in my head for days. I started working longer hours, convincing myself that keeping busy would help. But no matter how late I stayed, I came home to the same cold silence. Adam noticed. "You look exhausted, man. Marriage not treating you well?" I forced a laugh. "Just work. Sophia's fine." He gave me a look, the kind that says he didn't believe a word I said. That night, I sat alone at the dining table, staring at her empty chair. She was out, with friends, though I never met any of them. I texted her, "Miss you. Be safe." She replied 2 hours later, "Don't wait up." The words hit harder than I expected. I remember whispering to myself, "She's just tired again," like saying it enough times would make it true. I looked around the apartment, the blue walls, the framed wedding photo, the empty wine glasses, and felt something inside me shift. Maybe forever wasn't as big as I thought. It started with the little things. "Why'd you change your phone password?" I asked one evening, pretending it was a joke. She didn't look up from the sink. "Security update. Everyone does that. But you never locked it before." She shrugged. "You never asked before." Her tone was calm, but her eyes avoided mine. I laughed lightly, trying not to sound jealous. "Guess I'll have to earn your trust again, huh?" "Ethan, stop. You're being weird." Weird. That word stung more than it should have. At night, she'd lie beside me scrolling through her phone until midnight. When I'd ask what she was reading, she'd mutter, "Just work stuff." I believed her, because believing her was easier than accepting what I was starting to feel. One night, I reached over, brushing my fingers down her arm. "Hey, it's been a while, huh?" She stiffened. "Ethan, not tonight." I forced a smile. You've been saying that all week. I'm tired. I sighed. You're always tired, Sophia. She turned to face the other way. Good night. The silence after that wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. At breakfast the next morning, I tried again. Sophia, you've been working late a lot. Everything okay? Of course. Why wouldn't it be? I don't know. You just seem different. She set her coffee cup down a little too hard. Different how? Less here. Like your mind somewhere else. Her lips tightened. Maybe I'm just stressed, Ethan. Maybe not everything's about you. I wanted to argue, but her words hung in the air like smoke. Instead, I nodded, pretending I understood. At work, Adam noticed right away. You look like you haven't slept in a week. Just rough nights, I muttered. He smirked. Married life, huh? I didn't laugh. It's not funny. He raised an eyebrow. What happened? She's distant. Different. She doesn't even talk anymore. Maybe she's got something on her mind. Don't jump to conclusions. I'm not jumping. I'm falling. Adam's smirk faded. You think she's cheating? I looked away. I don't know. I hate that I even thought it. Talk to her, he said. Don't assume. You'll just drive yourself insane. I already am. That night, I tried again. I sat beside her on the couch while she scrolled through her phone, smiling faintly at something on the screen. What's funny? I asked casually. She quickly locked the screen. Just a meme. Show me. It's stupid, Ethan. Still. I could use a laugh. She stood abruptly. You're suffocating me. What? You keep asking questions. Checking what I'm doing. It's exhausting. I just want to be part of your life, Sophia. Then trust me. I do. But what? She snapped. You don't own me, Ethan. Her words hit harder than I expected. I stared at her, speechless. I never said I did. She grabbed her coat. I'm going out. Where? Just out. Don't wait up. When the door slammed, I sat there for a long time. The clock ticked loud enough to feel like judgment. I kept hearing her last words on repeat, you don't own me. I wasn't trying to own her. I was trying to hold on. Hours later, I called her. No answer. Texted her. Nothing. I stayed up until 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering when we turned into a me. When she finally came home, I pretended to be asleep. I heard her keys drop, her shoes slip off quietly, the faint sound of her humming, like nothing had happened. I wanted to ask where she'd been, but I couldn't. I was too afraid of the answer. The next morning, she acted normal. You want eggs or cereal? Whatever's easy. Eggs then. I watched her move around the kitchen like everything was fine. Maybe that was the cruelest part, how easily she could pretend. When she sat down, I tried to bridge the gap again. Sophia, are we okay? She hesitated before smiling softly. Of course, Ethan. Don't overthink everything. Her voice was gentle, almost too gentle. Okay, I whispered, though it didn't feel okay at all. At work, Adam asked, did you talk to her? She says everything's fine. And you believe that? I want to. He sighed. You can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. That night, I came home early. She wasn't there. Her phone went straight to voicemail. I sat at the dining table, staring at her untouched dinner plate, and thought about every I'm tired, every don't wait up. By midnight, she returned, smiling faintly. You're still up? Yeah, I said. Waiting for you. She looked guilty for half a second, then hit it with a yawn. You didn't have to. I wanted to. She kissed my cheek without emotion. Good night, Ethan. As she walked away, I whispered, good night, stranger. She didn't hear it. Or maybe she did, and just didn't care. Her phone buzzed once. Then again. Then again. I told myself not to look, that I trusted her. But the sound kept echoing, taunting me. She was in the shower, humming like nothing was wrong. My heart, though, was already beating too fast. The screen lit up. Daniel Reed, last night was worth every risk. Red heart. For a second, I couldn't breathe. My hands trembled as if my body already knew what my heart refused to believe. I tapped the screen. The messages unfolded like a confession I never asked for. Daniel, you looked stunning when you left this morning. Sophia, stop it. You'll get me caught. Face with tears of joy. Daniel, worth it. My throat went dry. Weeks of messages. Late-night chats. Pictures. Inside jokes. My name wasn't anywhere. I just sat there, staring, until the sound of the water stopped. I tossed her phone back on the couch and leaned forward, elbows on my knees, trying to steady my breathing. My pulse was pounding in my ears. She came out, towel wrapped around her, hair dripping, eyes soft. Hey, she said, smiling faintly. Why are you sitting like that? I looked up slowly. Your phone's been blowing up. Her eyes flickered, just for a split second, panic, then calm. Really? Probably work stuff. Daniel Reed, I said. My voice cracked halfway through his name. Is that, work too? She froze. The silence stretched between us, thick and heavy. Then she laughed, forced, sharp. You went through my phone. I didn't go through it, I said, standing. It lit up in front of me. You were in the shower. I stopped myself, breathing hard. You're sleeping with him, aren't you? Her expression hardened. Wow. So that's what this is now? Accusations? You think I'd cheat on you? Don't you dare twist this. I shouted, louder than I intended. I saw the messages. I saw the hearts. The jokes. The last night. She crossed her arms. You're overreacting. It was harmless flirting. Daniel's just a friend. We got drunk after work, it got a little too friendly, okay? You don't have to turn it into a soap opera. Too friendly? I repeated, stepping closer. You told another man he was worth every risk. What risk, Sophia? The risk of me finding out? The risk of destroying what we had? Her tone turned icy. You're being pathetic, you know that? One mistake and you act like the world's ending. One mistake? My voice dropped. You've been messaging him for weeks. That's not a mistake, that's a choice. She turned away, grabbing her clothes from the chair. I can't deal with this right now. You're making me feel like a criminal. I laughed bitterly. You are. You just haven't been caught before. She spun around, eyes blazing. Maybe if you weren't so distant lately, I wouldn't have needed to talk to someone else. That hit me like a slap. So it's my fault you cheated? You don't even listen to me anymore, she snapped. You come home tired, always distracted. You barely touch me. I felt invisible, Adam. I was trying to hold us together. I shouted. I worked late to give us something stable, not so you could find comfort in someone else's arms. Her voice cracked then, trembling. You think this was easy for me? I didn't plan it. It just happened. I stared at her, heart pounding so hard I thought it might tear through my chest. Love doesn't just happen with someone else, I said quietly. You let it. Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them away. I don't want to talk about this. Of course you don't, I whispered. Because talking means admitting what you did. She grabbed her phone off the couch, avoiding my gaze. You're acting insane. Go cool off. Sophia, I said, voice shaking. Look at me. She didn't. She walked into the bedroom, slamming the door. I stood there in the dim living room, breathing hard, staring at the door she hid behind. I wanted to scream, to break something, to undo the moment I'd ever trusted her. After a long silence, I whispered to the empty room, you killed it. Whatever this was, you killed it. Her muffled voice came from behind the door. Maybe it was already dying. That one broke me. I grabbed a pillow and blanket, walked to the couch, and sat down. The air felt colder than ever. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself this wasn't real. But the image of her phone screen kept flashing in my mind, Daniel Reed. Worth every risk. I turned on my side, tears blurring my vision, and whispered, "You were supposed to be my forever." The house was silent, except for the faint buzz of another message I wasn't meant to see. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that message again. Last night was worth every risk. Her laugh still echoed in my head, that same cold sound she made when she said, "You're being insecure, shoebum." My chest hurt like something was clawing from the inside. Around 2 a.m., I went to the living room, opened my laptop, and stared at her name on the online shopping account we shared. Curiosity felt poisonous, but I couldn't stop myself. Her order history loaded. The first thing I saw was perfume. Not strange. Then condoms. Not once. Not twice. Multiple times. What the hell, I muttered under my breath, my pulse hammering in my ears. And then, a hammer. I froze. My fingers trembled on the mouse. Why would she? I whispered. My breath came in shallow bursts. I checked the delivery dates, they lined up with the same nights she said she was working late. The sound of footsteps made me jump. She stood at the doorway, rubbing her eyes. "Shoebum," she said groggily. "What are you doing?" I slammed the laptop shut. "Nothing." She frowned. "At 2 in the morning? Why don't you tell me, Sophia? Maybe you can explain this." I flipped the screen open again and shoved it toward her. Her eyes darted over the list. Her face didn't even twitch. "You're looking through my orders now," she said, her tone calm but cutting. "That's really low, shoebum." "Low?" I snapped. "You've been buying condoms, perfume, and, what the hell is the hammer for, Sophia?" She scoffed, arms crossing. "You're insane. Don't play dumb." I shouted. "You think I don't see what's happening? You've been ordering this crap while sneaking out at night, talking to Daniel." "Stop saying his name," she barked, her voice cracking for the first time. I stared at her. "Why? Does it hurt?" Her lips tightened. "You're paranoid." "I'm not doing anything wrong." I laughed, but it came out like a sob. "You're unbelievable. I've seen the messages, Sophia. You said you loved me once. Was that also part of your act?" She didn't answer. She just stood there, eyes hollow, like my words didn't even touch her. "Say something." I yelled. "For God's sake, say something." She shrugged. "What do you want me to say? You're making a drama out of nothing. Maybe if you weren't so controlling." "Controlling?" I cut her off, pointing at the screen. "You're sleeping with another man, and I'm controlling?" Her expression turned icy again. "You don't know anything." "Then tell me." I begged. "Tell me why, Sophia. What did I do wrong? Did I not love you enough? Did I not try?" Her face softened for a split second, then hardened again. "You bored me, shoebum." That line hit like a blade. I stepped back, breath knocked out of me. "You bored me," she repeated. "You're safe, predictable, always working, always worrying." I needed excitement. Daniel gave me that. I stared at her, trying to find even a flicker of guilt in her eyes, but there was none. "I gave you everything," I whispered. "Every piece of me." She tilted her head. "Maybe that's the problem. You gave too much." I wanted to scream. To break something. To shake her until she felt what I was feeling, but all I did was stand there, shaking, useless. She turned away, muttering, "I'm done talking about this." I caught her arm. "You're not walking away this time. Let go of me, shoebum. Tell me what the hammer's for." She ripped her arm free. "For fixing things. Like the broken table you never got around to fixing." "That's a lie." Then keep believing whatever makes you feel better, she said coldly. I stared at her, my mind racing, rage boiling in my veins. You killed us, Sophia. You killed everything we had. She grabbed her phone, scrolling carelessly. Maybe it was already dead. That broke me. My knees felt weak. I turned and punched the wall so hard my knuckles split. She didn't flinch. You need help, she said. Yeah, I muttered, my voice trembling. Help to stop loving you. Her silence was worse than her words. I walked past her, blood dripping from my hand, the laptop screen still glowing behind me like an open wound. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat by the window, staring at the streetlights, wondering when love had turned into something this cruel. And for the first time, I realized, I wasn't losing her. I'd already lost her long ago. I had tried to ignore it all day. Tried to tell myself that maybe I was imagining things, that Sophia was just stressed, that the hammer, the condoms, the messages, it didn't mean anything. But I couldn't. My chest was tight, my stomach twisting into knots I couldn't unknot. She told me she was meeting a friend that afternoon. A friend. That word tasted bitter in my mouth. I didn't trust it. I shouldn't have. I followed her, careful not to make it obvious. My hands shook around the steering wheel as I kept her in sight, heart hammering. The streets blurred past me, I wasn't driving, just moving through some numb haze. She stopped in front of a hotel. My stomach dropped. She didn't walk in alone. Daniel Reed stepped out of the car behind her. My head spun. I wanted to turn around, drive home, pretend I didn't see anything. But I didn't. I couldn't. She held his hand. They walked into the hotel together. My legs felt weak. I parked a block away and sat there, staring at the entrance as if my eyes could burn the memory before it happened. Minutes stretched into hours. My hands were clenched into fists, knuckles white, jaw aching from grinding my teeth. I called Adam once, my voice quiet. I followed her, I said. There was silence. Then, Shubham, what are you going to do? I don't know, I whispered. I can't. You need to breathe, he said softly. Don't do anything stupid. I ended the call and stared at the hotel entrance again. And then she came out. Alone. My hope surged, then died instantly when I saw Daniel appear behind her, slipping his arm around her waist. I got out of the car. My legs moved without thought. I walked to the door. Knocked. Heart hammering. The hotel was quiet. Then the door opened. Sophia froze. Her hair was messy, her eyes wide for a split second. Then she smirked. I didn't know what to say. Words were gone. Daniel stepped back, half-dressed, eyes narrowing. Who the hell are you? I shook my head. I live with her. My voice was small, broken. I'm her husband. Sophia laughed softly. Ethan. I didn't think you'd find out this way. Find out? My voice cracked. I followed you. I watched. I waited. I saw everything. She tilted her head, still smirking. And I choked. My hands shook. And you don't even care? She stepped closer. Care? Ethan, it's nothing personal. You're just predictable. Daniel cleared his throat. Maybe we should go? She nodded, turned to him. Yes. Let's. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. My chest ached so badly I thought it might split open. Every memory of our wedding, every promise, every laugh, everything was meaningless now. I stepped back, staring at them. Sophia, please. She looked at me, eyes cold, unyielding. Please what? I swallowed hard. Just, don't do this. Don't, leave me like this. She smiled faintly, a smile that wasn't meant for me. It's too late, Ethan. I wanted to run to her. To shake her, to beg, to scream. But my body refused. I was frozen, shattered. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. Yes, I said, voice trembling. There's a situation. I need help. Officer Miller arrived quickly, calm, professional. I explained, voice breaking, tears falling. I caught them, in the hotel. She's with another man. Please, you have to. He shook his head. Sir, it looks like a domestic dispute. There's nothing we can do without evidence. You might want to work this out another way. My stomach dropped. What? You're kidding. He shrugged. Sorry. I looked at Sophia through the glass doors. She was dressing calmly, pulling her hair into a loose ponytail, slipping on her shoes. Daniel held the door open for her. They walked out together. Smiling. Laughing. Like nothing had happened. I stood there in the lobby, trembling, broken. People passed by, staring briefly, but no one could help. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I just watched them leave. And in that moment, I realized something I didn't want to admit: justice wasn't coming. Karma wouldn't arrive on time. She had chosen, and I was left standing here, humiliated, betrayed, powerless. I sank to the floor, head in my hands. The world felt cold, quiet, and cruel. Forever, I whispered to the empty lobby. You were supposed to be forever. But she wasn't. She had walked out of my life, hand in hand with the man who replaced me, leaving only the shattered pieces of what I thought love was. And I was alone. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing since that day. Every vibration feels like another punch to my chest. Messages from unknown numbers, screenshots, threats. Her lawyer's name keeps flashing. Shubham Chaudhary, you're accused of abuse. I dropped the phone on the bed and ran my hands over my face. How? How could this happen? I called Adam. I don't know what to do, I said, voice barely a whisper. Shubham, he said carefully, just breathe. Document everything. Don't react rashly. You'll get through this. I can't. I shouted, pacing. She's destroying me. My reputation, my job, everything. Adam's sigh came through the line. I know it feels hopeless. But keep calm. One step at a time. I ended the call, but the panic didn't leave me. I went to the mirror and barely recognized myself. Bloodshot eyes. Face hollow. Hair unkempt. My reflection didn't look like the man I used to be. The first hearing was in 2 days. Messages kept coming. Threats. Lies. My boss called me in. Shubham, people are talking. Are you okay? I wanted to scream, no. I'm not okay. But I forced a smile. Yes. I'm fine, I muttered, my voice hollow. I returned to my apartment and stared at the floor. That's when I saw a message from Olivia. My old college friend. I hadn't spoken to her in years. Hey, heard what's happening. I know we haven't talked in ages, but if you want to vent, I'm here. I stared at the screen, my chest tight. Something in me wanted to ignore it. Pride? Shame? I didn't know. But then I typed back, I don't know. Maybe. A few minutes later, her voice was on the line. Shubham? I got your message. Talk to me. I exhaled, and the dam broke. Olivia. I don't know where to start. It's everything. Sophia, she left me, with him. And now, false accusations. Everyone thinks I'm a monster. There was a pause. You're not a monster, Shubham. You're human. This is awful, but it's not who you are. Not really. I laughed bitterly. You don't get it. I can't sleep. I can't eat. Every time my phone buzzes, I feel like my life is ending. My career, my friends, everyone, turning against me. Olivia's voice was calm, patient. Shubham, you've been through a lot. But talking helps. Let it out. I swallowed hard. I saw everything. Daniel, the hotel, her laughing, her smirk when I called the police. And now she's lying about me. I feel broken, Olivia. Completely broken. Then cry, she said softly. Let it out. You don't have to hold it all in. I did. I cried. Sobs shaking my body, tears I hadn't allowed myself to shed in months. For the first time, I wasn't pretending. I wasn't trying to be strong. I just let it happen. She didn't judge. She didn't interrupt. She just listened. It's okay, she whispered. You're not alone. You're not weak for feeling this. Minutes passed. Hours, maybe. I couldn't tell. But something in me shifted. My body felt heavy, but my mind, slightly clearer. I don't know what I'd do without you right now, I admitted, my voice raw. You'd find a way, she said, firmly but gently. Sometimes losing someone is the only way to find yourself. Her words stuck. I swallowed, nodding even though she couldn't see me. Find myself. The idea seemed almost impossible. But for the first time in weeks, I felt the tiniest spark of hope. I wiped my eyes. Maybe you're right. Maybe this isn't the end. Maybe I can survive this. You will, she said. I promise. The phone line went quiet for a moment. Then she added, Shubham, don't let her lies define you. You're stronger than this. You're better than the chaos she's leaving behind. I took a deep breath, shaky but deliberate. Okay. I'll try. I'll try to fight. Good, she said. One step at a time. Start with yourself. We'll deal with the rest later. I hung up and stared at the ceiling. Silence filled the apartment, heavy but different. Not empty. There was still pain, still fear, but also something else. A thread of strength I hadn't felt in weeks. I whispered to myself, I'll survive this. Somehow, I'll survive this. And for the first time in days, I believed it might be true. Olivia called me the next morning. Shubham, I've found someone who can help you. You need a good attorney. You can't face this alone. I don't know if anyone can fix this, I muttered, rubbing my eyes. She's ruined everything. You'll see. Just meet her. Claire Hudson. She's sharp, experienced. She's the best at handling cases like yours. I agreed reluctantly, feeling hollow but willing to try anything. That afternoon, I sat in a small office, staring at the woman across from me. Claire Hudson. She had sharp eyes, an air of calm authority. Mr. Chaudhary, she asked, looking through her files. I've read your case summary. This is serious. False accusations, manipulation, but it's manageable if we act fast. I swallowed hard. I just want it to stop. I want my life back. She nodded. That's exactly what we'll do. But you need to stay focused and follow my guidance. No emotional outbursts in court, no impulsive moves. I'll try, I said quietly. Over the next few weeks, Claire guided me through paperwork, evidence gathering, and strategy. Olivia was there, too, keeping me grounded. Every day felt like a small victory, a moment when I remembered I could still breathe without panic. One afternoon, back at work, Mr. Grayson called me into his office. Shubham, I've been hearing about the situation. Don't let it affect your performance here. You've got my full support. I blinked, unsure how to respond. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. You've always been reliable, he said. Don't let someone else's lies define you. Focus on your work. Rebuild. I nodded, a small weight lifting off my shoulders. Returning to work was harder than I imagined, but I felt alive again. Slowly, I started to find peace in routine, in small achievements, in being alone without the crushing dread that had consumed me. Then, one evening, Olivia called again. Shubham, Rachel wants to talk to you. Sophia's cousin. She says she has information about Sophia and Daniel. My stomach dropped. What kind of information? I don't know exactly. She insisted on speaking to you directly. I met Rachel at a quiet cafe. She looked nervous but determined. Shubham, I need to tell you the truth. Sophia, she and Daniel were together before your marriage. It wasn't love. It was all for money, status, and control. You weren't the first or only victim. I felt my chest tighten, but instead of anger, a strange calm washed over me. Before the wedding? I whispered. Rachel nodded. Yes. They planned it. Manipulated everything to make it look perfect. I'm sorry you had to go through this. I couldn't say anything before, I didn't want to interfere. I leaned back, absorbing the words. My mind replayed every memory, her laughter, her smiles, the false warmth. And finally, clarity emerged. The betrayal was not a reflection of me. It was a reflection of them. I thought I lost everything, I said quietly. But now. I see. I wasn't the cause. I wasn't the failure. Rachel reached across the table. You're stronger than you realize. It's time to move forward, Shubham. Rebuild on your terms, not theirs. That night, I sat in my apartment alone, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in months, I didn't feel broken. I felt awake. The rage was still there, but it was tempered by understanding. I had been used, betrayed, lied to, but I survived. I was surviving. I picked up my phone and texted Olivia. Thank you, for not letting me collapse completely. Her reply was instant. You're not done yet, but you're stronger than you think. Keep going. I smiled faintly, a small spark of warmth in my chest. For the first time in weeks, I allowed myself to plan, to hope, to breathe without panic. I thought about work tomorrow, about rebuilding trust with myself, about quiet evenings where I could finally feel at peace. The past was a scar, but not a chain. Sophia's lies, Daniel's betrayal, they could not define me anymore. I was reclaiming my life, one deliberate step at a time. I poured myself a cup of tea, sat by the window, and watched the city lights flicker. It was calm. Peaceful. A stark contrast to the storm I had endured. And yet, it was mine. All mine. I'll survive this, I whispered to myself. I'll rise from it. And no one will ever take my life, my dignity, or my peace again. The weight that had pressed on my chest for months was lighter. I was not fully healed, not yet, but I was awake. Fully awake. And for the first time since it all began, I felt free. Months passed, and life began to settle into a rhythm I hadn't known since before Sophia. Work became my refuge, each completed project a quiet reminder that I still had control over something in my life. The phone still buzzed occasionally with spam or minor issues, but the chaos Sophia left behind had faded into the background. I had rebuilt myself quietly, deliberately. Then one evening, the phone rang. I recognized the number instantly. My chest didn't tighten. My hands didn't shake. It was her. Sophia, I said calmly when I answered. Shubham, please, she whispered, her voice trembling. I made a mistake. I blinked. A part of me wanted to hang up immediately, but I stayed silent. Calm. Neutral. You're not angry, she asked hesitantly, almost desperate. I'm not, I said evenly. I'm not angry, Sophia. Not anymore. Her breathing caught. You don't understand. I never meant for it to end like this. Daniel, he left me. I need you. I leaned back in my chair, letting her words wash over me without stirring the old pain. I had felt it before, raw, jagged, uncontrollable, but it wasn't here now. Sophia, I said slowly. You made a choice. What? Her voice rose, cracking. No. I didn't. I love you. You didn't love me, I said quietly, each word deliberate. You used me. You lied to me. You walked out of my life while planning another with him. That was your choice. There was silence for a moment, then soft crying on the other end of the line. She was sobbing quietly, pleading with a man who no longer existed in her world. I didn't realize, she started, but I cut her off. You had your chance, Sophia. You had every opportunity to be honest, to be decent, to be human. You chose otherwise. That's why I don't feel hate. That's why I don't feel love. I just feel calm. Her voice trembled. Please. Shubham. We can fix this. We can start over. I shook my head, even though she couldn't see me. No. There is no we anymore. Only the consequences of the choices you made. You'll have to live with them. I'll live with mine. There was a pause. A quiet, painful pause. The kind of silence that stretches across the phone line and burrows under your skin. I never thought it would end like this, she whispered. Neither did I admitted. But it wasn't regret I felt. Not for her, not for myself. It was clarity. The storm had passed. The wreckage was behind me. I had survived, and that survival wasn't dependent on her anymore. She began again, her voice breaking. I can't. You can cry, I said calmly. It won't change anything. Her sobs became louder. I listened for a moment, letting her have her final display. And then, with the same calm certainty that had guided me through the past months, I said, Goodbye, Sophia. I hung up. The apartment felt quiet, heavier in a comforting way. The tension that had haunted me for months, the constant ache of betrayal, the hollow spaces left by her lies, they were gone. I didn't feel empty. I didn't feel broken. I felt strong. Whole. I went to the window, looking out at the city below. Lights flickered, cars moved slowly, lives continuing as if nothing had happened. And maybe, in their routines, there were people like me, recovering, rebuilding, quietly learning how to survive without someone who once defined them. I took a deep breath. The cool night air brushed my face through the open window. My mind felt clear. The anger, the sorrow, the confusion, they were memories now. Faded, but lessons, not chains. I whispered softly to myself, I survived her. I survived it all. And I'm free. For the first time since it began, I believed it. Not as hope, not as a fragile wish, but as a fact. The phone lay silent on the table, the echoes of her voice gone. I didn't reach for it. I didn't need to. My life was mine again, untouched by her deceit, untouched by anyone who would try to manipulate or betray me. I poured a glass of water and sat in the quiet of my apartment. The calm felt profound. I had walked through fire, through betrayal, through humiliation and false accusations. And I had emerged on the other side, unshaken. The night stretched ahead, peaceful, promising. I allowed myself a small smile. I didn't need her. I didn't need revenge. I only needed myself. And that was enough. The court finally ruled in my favor. Claire called me with the news, her voice steady and confident. Shubham, it's over. All charges dismissed. Your name is clear. I felt a strange emptiness at first, like a heavy fog lifting without leaving a sound behind. It's really over? I asked, my voice hoarse. Yes. Over. You can breathe again, she said. I hung up and stared at the ceiling. Breathe again. I could. I really could. Months of anxiety, betrayal, and humiliation had left marks, but the weight was finally gone. The next morning, I walked to the park. The same one Sophia and I had once shared, laughing and planning our future. I sat on the bench where we had watched the sunset, alone this time. The air was crisp. Children's laughter echoed faintly from the playground. Everything was normal, but for me, it felt extraordinary. Shubham. I looked up. Olivia was standing there, hands in her pockets, smiling softly. Hey, I said, surprised and grateful at the same time. Mind if I sit? She asked. Not at all, I said, gesturing to the bench. We sat together, quietly. For a moment, neither of us spoke, just watching the world move around us. Then she broke the silence. You look different, she said gently. I smiled faintly. I feel different. Lighter, I think. Free from all of it. She nodded. Sometimes the worst heartbreak leads to the best healing. I looked at her, really looked. I didn't think I'd survive. I thought I'd always carry this weight. But I guess I had to let go, not of her, but of the pain she caused. Exactly, she said. You can't control what others do, Shubham. You can only control how you respond. I leaned back, letting the sunlight warm my face. I realized something these past months. I didn't need to destroy anyone to feel free. I didn't need revenge, anger, or payback. I just had to stop holding on. Olivia smiled, her eyes reflecting a quiet understanding. That's powerful, Shubham. And it's rare to see someone truly come out of all that stronger. I laughed softly, a genuine laugh that hadn't come in weeks. Stronger, yeah. I think I am. I still feel the scars, but they're mine now. Not hers. Not Daniel's. Just mine. I'm glad, she said. You deserve this peace. The park was alive around us. Birds flitted between branches. A breeze rustled the leaves. For the first time in months, I noticed the small details, the warmth of the sun, the softness of the grass, the distant chatter. The world hadn't changed, but I had. I keep thinking about how different things could have been, I admitted. If I had ignored the signs, if I had stayed blind to her betrayal. Don't, Olivia interrupted firmly. You learned from it. That's what matters. You grew because of it, not despite it. I nodded. She was right. Every sleepless night, every anxious call, every moment of humiliation had been a lesson. And now, finally, the lesson felt complete. A child ran past us, laughing, chasing a ball. I smiled to myself. Life kept moving. Life kept giving, even after taking so much. I wonder, I said quietly, if she even thinks about all this. Sophia. Daniel. The whole mess. Olivia shrugged. Let them wonder. Your life isn't theirs anymore. I exhaled, a slow, steady breath. I could feel it in my chest, a calm I hadn't known in a long time. The anger, the pain, the betrayal, all of it was still a part of me, but it no longer ruled me. I could see the world clearly, see myself clearly. I'm ready, I said, almost to myself. Ready to live again. Ready to focus on work, on friends, on small joys, and maybe on finding someone who truly deserves my trust. Olivia laughed softly. And when that time comes, I'll be there to remind you not to settle for anything less than honesty. I'll hold you to that, I said, grinning. We sat in silence again, comfortable and unhurried. The park felt like a sanctuary, a place where the past had no power. And as I watched the sunset, the colors spilling across the sky, I realized I didn't need anyone to validate my happiness. I had found it on my own. Thank you, I said finally, looking at Olivia. For everything. For listening. For standing by me when I thought I'd fall apart. You never fell apart, she said. You just forgot how strong you are. And now you remember. I smiled, a full, unguarded smile. Yes. I remember. And it feels good. Really good. The wind picked up slightly, rustling the leaves, carrying the distant laughter and warmth of life around us. I felt at peace. I had survived. I had grown. And finally, I had begun anew. I sat at my desk late at night, the apartment silent except for the faint hum of the city outside. A single lamp lit the page before me. I picked up a pen, hesitated, and then began to write. Sophia, I wrote slowly, carefully, I'm not sure if I'll ever send this. I'm not even sure if you deserve to read it. But I need to say it, if only for myself. I paused, staring at the words. The paper smelled faintly of ink and possibilities, possibilities that no longer included her. Thank you, I continued, for breaking me. For lying, for betraying, for walking out while I was still alive with hope. Because of you, I've learned who I am. Because of you, I've survived. And because of you, I've rebuilt myself stronger than ever. My hand trembled slightly, but I forced it steady. I let the anger and pain flow onto the paper. Each sentence carried months of betrayal, nights of crying alone, mornings of exhaustion, and the quiet weight of humiliation. I used to think I needed you to be happy, I wrote, but now I know happiness was always inside me. I only had to find it again. I only had to stop letting you control my life with lies and deceit. I leaned back, reading the words I'd written. They felt heavy, yet freeing. Almost like breathing underwater and finally surfacing. I whispered to the empty room, "You'll never read this, Sophia. And that's the point. This isn't for you. It's for me. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace," I continued. I forgive the way you manipulated me, the way you laughed with Daniel while pretending to love me, the way you left me in pieces. I forgive it all, because I am done holding on to it. The silence of the apartment pressed against me, comforting and intimate. I felt the residual ache of the past months, but it was dulled, manageable, no longer burning. "I hope you learned something too," I wrote. "Not about me, not about love, but about honesty. About the consequences of choices. I hope one day you realize that hurting others only hurts yourself." My eyes stung as I wrote, but I didn't stop. I wrote every thought, every lingering memory, every sharp edge of betrayal that I had been carrying. And then, I wrote the hardest part. This is where I end. The story I shared with you ends here. But it is also where I begin. I am not defined by you, by Daniel, or by any lies. I am defined by my survival, my strength, my choices. And from this moment on, I choose myself. I read the letter aloud softly, my voice echoing in the quiet room. I choose myself. I am free. I am whole. Each word hit the page, sealing the past, separating it from the future I had been building one careful step at a time. I folded the letter, feeling the weight of every word in my hands. Then, without hesitation, I lit a small candle on the desk. The flame flickered, dancing shadows across the walls. I held the paper over it, watching it curl, blacken, and crumble into ashes. As the smoke spiraled upward, I whispered to myself, "This is where I end, and where I begin." I stepped to the open window and let the ashes scatter in the night wind. They disappeared into the darkness, carried away like everything that had once chained me. I watched the city lights, flickering, indifferent, yet somehow comforting. Life moved forward. And so would I. I closed my eyes, breathing in the quiet. I felt the old tension melt, replaced by clarity. No hatred. No longing. Just calm, steady, enduring peace. The letter, the pain, the betrayal, all gone. I had released it. I whispered one last time, softly, almost reverently, "I am free. Finally free." I set the empty envelope aside and leaned back, stretching my arms. The room felt larger, warmer, filled with light I hadn't noticed before. I could laugh again. I could work again. I could live again. The past had shaped me, but it no longer controlled me. I was standing at the edge of something new, something unbroken. And I knew, with a quiet certainty, that I would never let anyone, not even Sophia, dictate my peace again. I poured a cup of tea and watched the city skyline, letting the soft night air wash over me. The letter was gone, the ashes scattered, the story complete. I smiled faintly, feeling the warmth of a life reclaimed. "This is the beginning," I whispered. "And it's mine."